want to begin with just asking your reaction on that the Oil and Gas Commission's approval of that royalty, the 2.5% royalty, both for Standard Lithium, Equinor, and then also Saltworks, and sort of how you view that decision and its effect on just general economic development in South Arkansas now.
Well, I really think it was a great first step in this process, and I think it was the big one out there that everybody was concerned about, and obviously drew the media attention. And I think it was hard. A lot of people down here are used to oil and bromine being at the well. I mean, it's marketable right there. And lithium is not. It has to go through a whole process, a very expensive process to come out to the final product. And so there was lots of jostling back and forth for what it was worth. And hopefully they did a good job. They did their due diligence over a year. So I think they really did a good job of studying for what they needed to.
I hadn't thought about that being sort of a different, I mean, obviously it's a different product, but it does, there's a ton of different processes behind it that are just a little different from what's been happening down there for decades.
Yes, yeah, it's quite. I went and toured the Standard Lithium plant, and the process by which they get that end result is pretty intense. It's got to go through a lot of steps. There's a lot of science involved, and to get it, and it's not like just taking it and selling it.
So now that we're on a path, a royalty path that seems relatively clear, we've got two royalty decisions under our belt now for two units.
Mhm.
What do you see are the next critical milestones for the lithium industry in Arkansas now that that's settled?
Well, I mean, I think there's quite a few. I mean, energy is going to be an issue. We've got to get the energy to these plants. Infrastructure, just the infrastructure of Southwest Arkansas for what they need, and what are they going to do? Are they going to Pine Bluff and going to ship it out there? All that, and then there's factories that have to be made, whether it's a battery factory, a recycling factory, a battery storage factory. There's a lot of steps to get to this point of where we've got to be. Plus, the lithium market has been so volatile that we've got to make sure that it's viable. It's there's a lot left.
So during the General Assembly, during the last legislative session, legislators passed a package of lithium-related incentives. So if you could tell me sort of what the core or the most important elements of that package are and what they do, and how maybe you expect it to influence what's happening in South Arkansas.
Well, it was myself and Lane Jean ran that bill. It was a pretty complicated bill, and with the help of um, Secretary of Commerce and the Oil and Gas Commission and the Energy, we really worked on this. And kind of the three buckets is it really gives incentives for them to do business within the state. We have the situation where there is lithium in Louisiana and there is lithium in Texas, and they're going to come with a package. We thank the Lord because of the brine and the oil. We have the structure of how to do things, and they're a little bit behind us. So we just have to be friendlier, a lot better business friendly state. So it gives them the tax incentives, it gives them the incentives to have the employees to what they need to buy. It also ties in incentives if there's so they don't ship it out of the state. They can get this stuff made and ship it out of the state. Well, it gives them better incentives if they keep it in the state and process it. So if they can get their partners to come in and do a battery factory or to do a recycling factory or to do a battery storage factory, and there's so many other just things you wouldn't think of. Though salt water, millions of gallons of that go through a pump in a minute. Those pumps wear out all the time. Well, right now they have to ship them to East or West Texas. We could probably have 50 to 75 people that are making 100K fixing those right here in the state of Arkansas. So it would benefit those businesses too. And then the other thing that I thought was very important is there's a severance tax on the salt water. And right now, before I came in, 75% of that ends up going to the GR, general revenue. And we as legislators get to make the decision what to do with that. So you know it doesn't go back to the counties. Severance taxes are meant to go back to the counties. So with my partners, they were very gracious. We're not taking anything out of GR. So right now it's going to stay at the same level it is forever. But as these plants grow and the severance tax grows, 100% of that is going to go back to the counties where it came from. And that's going to be really huge. I mean, if you're talking another 500,000, maybe another million to each county in revenue, that's really huge for them.
Moving on to those other infrastructure needs. I mean, there's a list, right? There's roads, utilities, broadband, housing, education. Um, what would you think are the top need right now at this moment in the development of this industry?
Well, when you go to those ones that you mentioned, I believe that the education is going to be huge in the housing. And I would, I got to say that the governor and Secretary of Commerce did a great job using the higher industry readiness grants to incentivize for the lithium learns and the lithium works. So they did a fantabulous job with that, and that's really important because we've got to get the right people here, the skilled labor here, and they did a lot of with the workforce that we're working on. So I think that's going where it needs to be, and total credit to the governor and the Secretary of Commerce. They did a great job with that. Also, I think housing. And housing's an issue a lot of places, but Southwest Arkansas, it's a lot. Right now, we've got somebody that's working on it. Hopefully, they can be successful. Otherwise, I know that there's other people working in on it. And on a personal level, my wife and I have some land, and we're trying to plan for it too. But we even have Lockheed Martin and all those uh, facilities just up the road 35 miles, and they don't have enough places to live. So we need probably 400 to 700 units, and that's going to be something we're going to have to look at. And again, this session we ran some bills that are going to make it a little easier for developers to get things done.
Mhm. I know you are not a county government person, but there are. I think about the steel industry in Northeast Arkansas and Mississippi County and the Live Here, Work Here sort of program. Is something like that going to be necessary in South Arkansas? Some kind of concerted effort, maybe driven by some funding mechanism to sort of help incentivize housing development in a bigger way?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think that this can get done organically. I think it's going to have to be planned and going to have to be really thought through. And I've got full confidence in fellow legislators and the governor and her staff because she's really on the cutting edge of bringing industry to the state.
In terms of the power need, because I've heard this talked about in other contexts too, that we just in general we're going to need more capacity to generate power. What does that look like in South Arkansas? Do we need another power generation source, or are we going to have to think creatively about how to gin up that power and not only electricity, but it sounds like water as well?
I think on both. I think we've got to figure out, do we need new plants? I think the short answer is yeah. Do we need to enhance some of the ones we have to get by? Yep. We've got coal plants that are going off in the next few years, so we've also got a plan for that. During session, we did an energy bill. I think that is so important to where we're going to be when it comes to energy because it's going to allow them to do things that need to happen. And nobody wants to talk about this because they don't want to put the cart before the horse. But one of the reasons we did that is I believe that nuclear energy is going to be here soon, and it needs to be. I mean, here's the thing: we've ran submarines on nuclear energy for 80 years. Why can't we do it to have our power? So we've got to get there.
Um, what do you hear from your constituents about this developing industry? I mean, what are their concerns? What are their impressions? Are there misconceptions that you encounter about it from time to time? I mean, what are their expectations and what do they ask you about?
Well, I think that is the biggest thing is when's it going to be here? How fast is it going to be here and how big is it going to be? Because when this whole process started, we heard of Midland, Texas. We heard of this. We hear things like that. Financially, is it going to be really nice for our state and our area? I think it will. Is it going to bring 20, 30,000 people? No, probably not. But we're going to have jobs. We're going to have subsidiary jobs, whether it be housing jobs, whether it be restaurants, whether it be it is going to have some growth. And we've had loss, quite frankly, for 20 some years. So we're going to have it, it's going to be more stable. I think the biggest fear is that it's not going to happen. And that's a valid fear that we're getting excited but there's a lot of roadblocks to get through before this actually does happen. But I'm very confident in spending time with all these producers that it's going to happen because it's something that's needed. And they wouldn't jump into something with this much money and this much time if they didn't really realize that it was needed.
One last thing I want to ask you about, and I kind of ask this of everybody. Is there something you think the rest of the state needs to know about this that they're just not getting so far? I mean, people in Northwest Arkansas or Northeast Arkansas, what do they need to know about what's happening in South Arkansas?
Well, I think what they need to know is the potential beyond lithium into other categories is so much that this could be statewide a player. I mean, like the incentive package. We could go to West Memphis, build a factory over there, and it could get 600 jobs. Keeping this product within the borders and building these factories is going to be our number one goal once these factories start going, because the amount of revenue and the amount of jobs that can be created by all the subsidiary companies is really that's when you start seeing that word Midland, Texas. You start seeing Arkansas as a whole getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we've already seen we're growing as a state the way it is.
Well, State Senator Steve Crowell of Magnolia, thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.